A priest and a nun were on their way back from a week-long spiritual retreat at a remote mountain seminary, somewhere between nowhere and the middle of absolutely nothing. The priest, Father Dominic, looked like a rugged, middle-aged George Clooney, with a silver-streaked head of hair and a charming, contemplative air that made confession lines a little too long for comfort. The nun, Sister Juliana, was the spitting image of Jessica Biel in a habit. Graceful, radiant, and surprisingly athletic from daily convent CrossFit and vegetable gardening. Their trusty old sedan coughed its last breath near a foggy countryside lane, tires hissing like a serpent surrendering its soul. With no garage open until morning and no cell phone signal unless you prayed really hard, their only option was a small, creaky bed and breakfast run by an elderly couple who apparently hadn't updated their wallpaper since 1953. Unfortunately, only one room was available. Father Dominic looked hesitant.
Sister Juliana, I suppose the Lord won't mind if we share the room. I'll sleep on the couch. You take the bed.
Sister Juliana smiled serenely.
Yes, Father. That would be acceptable.
They prayed together. He read from Psalms, she hummed a Gregorian chant, and then changed into their respective sleepwear. Father Dominic in a modest flannel robe, Sister Juliana in her convent-issued pajamas that somehow still looked like she walked off a Vogue photo shoot for holy women. 10 minutes into the night, a voice cut through the stillness.
Father, I'm terribly cold.
Father Dominic groaned softly and got up to grab a blanket from the antique closet, the wood creaking like a guilty conscience. 10 more minutes passed.
Father,
She said again, more softly this time.
I'm still so cold.
Without hesitation, Father Dominic got up and pulled yet another dusty blanket from the closet, layering it over her like a lasagna of righteousness. Another 10 minutes. A silence. Then,
Father,
her voice, now a sultry whisper, dipped in honey.
Father, I'm still very cold. Perhaps, just for tonight, the Lord wouldn't mind if we acted as husband and wife.
The room fell dead silent. Then the priest said without missing a beat,
Fine, get your own damn blankets, you annoying woman.
A state trooper spots a car crawling at 23 miles per hour and immediately thinks, that's just as dangerous as speeding. Lights flashing, he pulls the driver over. Inside, an elderly lady sits at the wheel, calm as can be, while her 4 passengers look like they've just seen a ghost. Ma'am, the trooper says, driving too slow can be dangerous too. The lady huffs,
Young man, I was exactly at the speed limit, 23 miles per hour.
The trooper stifles a laugh. Ma'am, that's the route number, not the speed limit. She grins a little embarrassed.
Oh, well, thanks for the heads up.
Before he leaves, the trooper glances at the terrified passengers. Are they okay? They look a little shaken. The old woman waves a hand dismissively.
Oh, they'll be fine. We just got off Route 120.
A father tucked his 3-year-old daughter into bed, told her a story, and listened to her prayers.
God bless Mommy, bless Daddy, bless Grandma, and goodbye, Grandpa.
Why did you say goodbye to your grandpa? Her astonished father asked. The little girl said,
I don't know, Daddy. It just seemed like something I had to do.
The next day, the little girl's grandpa died. Her father thought it was a strange coincidence. A few months later, the father put the little girl to bed and listened to her prayers, which ended with,
God bless Mommy, bless Daddy, and goodbye, Grandma.
the next day, the grandmother died. Oh, I heard my little girl say goodbye to her grandma last night. The father thought, this couldn't be just coincidence. She can surely see into the future. A few weeks later, as his wife was tucking the little girl to bed, her father heard her say,
God bless Mommy and goodbye, Daddy.
He was shocked and frightened. He couldn't sleep all night thinking he'd surely die the next day. So he got up at the crack of dawn and drove hurriedly to his office. Nervous as a cat all day, he ate lunch and looked at the clock. He thought if he could make it to midnight, he would be okay. He felt safe in the office, so instead of going home at the end of the day, he stayed there drinking coffee, looking at his watch, and jumping at the slightest sound. Finally, it was midnight. He breathed a sigh of relief and slowly drove home. When he got home, his wife was still up, worried at his coming home late, and said,
I've never seen you work this late. What's the matter?
He said, I don't want to talk about it, but I had the worst day of my life. She sighed and sadly said,
If you think you've had a bad day, you'll never believe what happened to me. This morning, my boss had a heart attack and died right in the middle of our meeting. Oh, I'm so devastated.
Dave bragged to his boss one day, I'll tell you, I know everybody who needs to be known. You name one, anyone, I know him. His boss got tired of his bragging and decided to call his bluff. Okay, Dave, how about Elon Musk? Oh, Elon and I go way back and I can prove it. So Dave and his boss fly to Florida and knock on Elon Musk's door. And Elon yells, Dave! What's up? Good to see you. Come on in and grab a beer. Dave's boss is impressed but still skeptical. After leaving Musk's house, he tells Dave that he thinks it was just a chance to meet Elon. Dave says, No, name someone else. Bill Gates, his boss immediately replies. Yes, says Dave. Bill and I are old friends. Let's fly to California. And off they go. At the Microsoft offices, Bill Gates sees Dave and calls him and his boss over and says, Dave, what a surprise. I was just on my way to a meeting, but come on in with your friend. Let's have a beer and catch up. The boss is now very shaken, but still not completely convinced. After leaving the Microsoft offices, he expresses his doubts to Dave, who again asks him to name someone else. Pope Francis, his boss replies. Of course, says Dave. I've known the Pope for years. So they fly to Rome. As Dave and his boss mingle with the crowd in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican, Dave says, This is never going to work. I can't get the Pope's attention with all these people. I'll tell you what, I know all the guards, so I'm going to go upstairs and get on the balcony with the Pope. He disappears into the crowd towards the Vatican. Half an hour later, Dave appears on the balcony with the Pope. But when Dave returns, he sees that his boss has had a heart attack and is surrounded by paramedics. Dave goes up to his boss and asks him, What happened? His boss looks up and says, It was the last straw. You and the Pope went out on the balcony, and the guy next to me said,
Who's that on the balcony with Dave?
A doctor, a lawyer, a little boy, and a priest were flying on a small private plane. Suddenly, the plane developed engine trouble. Despite the best efforts of the pilot, the plane started to go down. Finally, the pilot grabbed a parachute and yelled to the passengers that they better jump, and he bailed out. Unfortunately, only 3 parachutes were remaining. The doctor grabbed one of the parachutes and said, I'm a doctor, I save lives, so I must live to save others' lives. and jumped out. The lawyer then said, "I'm a lawyer, and lawyers are the smartest people in the world. Therefore, I deserve to live." He also grabbed a parachute and jumped. The priest looked at the little boy and said, "My son, I've lived a long and full life. You are young and have your whole life ahead of you. So take the last parachute and live in peace." The little boy handed the parachute back to the priest and said,
"Do not worry, Father. The smartest man in the world just took off with my backpack."
A little girl was sitting at the kitchen table drawing a picture of her parents with crayons. She suddenly started thinking about her grandparents. What about her grandparents' parents? What about her parents? She ran to her mother and asked thoughtfully,
Mom, where do people come from? I mean, does everyone have a family?
Busy with her cooking, the mother empathetically responded,
In the beginning, God created Adam and Eve, and they had children, and those children had children of their own, and so on, until today.
The girl nodded understandingly. After a while, she needed a blue crayon for the sky in her picture, so she went to her room to get another box of crayons. When she got to her room, she saw that her father was there and had set up a shelf. She asked him the same question she had asked her mother. Her father replied nonchalantly,
"Many years ago, there were monkeys from which the human race evolved."
Confused, the girl ran back to her mother and said,
Mom, you tricked me. You told me the human race was created by God. But Daddy said we evolved from monkeys.
The mother replied,
Well, dear, I told you my side of the family, and your father told you his side of the family. It's just that simple.
A sad-looking woman was walking on an isolated beach in an island in Asia when she caught sight of a glinting, ancient-looking, beautiful dark blue bottle stuck in the sand. She picked up the bottle, took off the cork, and lo and behold, smoke came out and became a huge Persian genie. Startled, the woman soon came to realize that it was a genie and asked whether she could have 3 wishes. The genie replied, "No. Due to inflation, constant downsizing, and fierce global competition, I can only grant you 1 wish. So what will you wish for?" The woman, being a peace advocate, did not hesitate. She took out a small map and said, "I wish for peace in the Middle East. You see this map? I want these countries to stop fighting each other." The genie looked at the map and groans, "But my lady, these people have been fighting for thousands of years. I am good, but not really miracle level good. That would be near impossible. Make another wish." The woman thought long and hard and said,
Well, I've never found the right man, someone who's thoughtful and funny, who likes to cook and help clean the house, who's good in bed and gets along with my family, who doesn't watch sports all the time, and who's faithful. That's what I want, a good husband.
The genie stares at her, then shaking his head, lets out a long sigh and said,
I'd like to see that map again.
Faye!